Stephen Cloobeck, take our hand, lead us to the promised land. California, California, get a clue. Stephen Cloobeck is the guy for you. Stand a chair, this is your cue. Stephen Cloobeck will pull us through.
Hi, welcome to the Stephen J. Cloobeck podcast. Today, I'm so happy to have Evan Lovett here with me. Evan and I became fast friends. And Evan is a modern day historian of Los Angeles. I've been captivated by all his work. I watch it all the time. You should too. LA in a minute. It's amazing because you really learn a lot because California is just such a vast place. And I've talked about this before. It's broken. It's broken. And we're out of business. We got to open this place back up for business. It's not affordable, livable, or workable. And if we don't disrupt what's going on right now, the future for many of you is bleak. It really is. I've done the due diligence. I've done the homework. And everyone that's in office right now is compromised, I've found. They pander to each other. And we really need to take it back because they've got about the customer of California because we are all customers. So, Evan, let's talk about LAU, your vibrant history here. Let's talk about some things that have happened to you. I know crime.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Appreciate what you've accomplished and what you're doing. And I must take a little umbrage. California, it's not broken. I do agree that there are some legislative issues and some elected officials that may not be optimal and, in fact, are having us head in the wrong direction. But broken would almost insinuate that it can't be fixed. And I know that with the right leadership in place, it absolutely can recover.
That's a better way of saying it. That's a better way of saying it. I use the word broken because it's got to get fixed, and you need those that have fixed broken.
True.
Because I fixed most broken of companies, and they were broken. They were broken 20 years. So something can be broken, but fixable.
True.
And California is fixable. There are solutions, but we together need to, as customers, need to stand up and do it together. And it's that time because we're at that breaking point. And I think we just saw it with the fires.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles and the crime, but we got fires throughout the state. We have leaders that have never signed the front of a check. We have leaders that don't understand our public safety.
Right.
Police and fire are foremost to us. That's what we pay our tax dollars for.
Right.
First thing is life safety.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
who that's running for office, everyone needs to ask himself, out of those that are running for office right now in this next cycle, who do you trust with your family and friends' life safety, police and fire?
I'll tell you this, is that the answer is a lot different than it was in 2022 for most voters. And I will agree with this. Listen, here's the truth. And I will just say this freely and openly, and this is the truth. I am a born and bred Democrat liberal. My dad burned his draft card. My mom burned her bra. That's the kind of household I grew up in. Hippies, pot smoking, not me later, but when I was a young age, they were transparent about it. Great parents, loved them. But first ballot I ever checked, Bill Clinton, 1996, proud.
Dear friend of mine.
Every blue box since. However, starting about 2017, as I grew older, became a homeowner, had a child, family, real bills, real obligations. Coincidentally or not, I started noticing different things in the city of Los Angeles to allude to some of the points you were making: homelessness, crime. At first, a nuisance, then absolutely trouble, and something that, as you mentioned, affected me first person.
How long, you were robbed?
We were robbed. Our home was burglarized in March. We came
How long,
home.
Did you call the police?
Did call the police, called 911.
How'd that work out?
So I do want to say this. It was initially, as I was on the call and our neighbors were over and my son and wife were screaming, they showed up 58 minutes later. But 911 did answer the call, which is something that, I in the fog of war was not necessarily aware of, because they put you on hold. They're like, is your life in danger? And then you're like, no. And then they're like, okay, hold please. And then it was 58 minutes before that call came through. And then once the call did go through to a human being after that point, they showed up 6 minutes later, which is relatively quick. But when you're in that kind of despair and you've
kids.
just been victimized with a kid, 3 dogs too, who are also,
Right.
anybody who's a dog owner knows those are your kids.
Yeah.
You're scared and you're nervous and you don't know what's going on. So that was a big shot across the bow. But the thing is, we knew our neighborhood, nice neighborhood, I'll be honest. We live in Studio City. It's a fairly nice neighborhood.
Sure is.
There'd been break-ins, there'd been burglaries all throughout the San Fernando Valley, Encino, Tarzana.
Not when I grew up there.
Up in Bel Air, right. And these things have been happening more frequently. So we knew crime was around the corner because we had also seen homeless encampments in our neighborhood. There were also incidents where a homeless person broke into climbed into 3 of our backyards and then housed himself in a garage of a neighbor. And when that neighbor called 911, tried to have him arrested, they wanted the homeowner to sign a permission to arrest.
That's just bullshit.
Which I was like, that's crazy that
bullshit.
you can't.
That's bullshit.
So we knew that was coming, but that is, and I've been more transparent about this, reflective of the leadership. I'm going to speak specifically about many members of the city council, in my opinion, where their values, and again, this is coming from a liberal. I was born and raised to compassion and,
everyone pay attention to this because this is shocking.
And this is how I grew up. And the thing is, you get people in office who have this utopian vision of something that on paper and in the ether is great. And it's a great vision and we want to help everybody and we don't need police. There are alternative methods of controlling crime and things like this. But the reality is, you use the analogy of never having signed the front of a check. I don't know if they've never been in this situation, but at a certain point, certain things just don't work. And you can't have a functional society without a strong enforcing body, without there being ramifications.
It's called laws.
And when you had, a DA that didn't punish criminals, when you had have a city council that doesn't really focus on crime or prioritize policing and things of that nature, I see the result of that firsthand. And I'm like, well, this is what happens. Homelessness is improving marginally. Sure, the numbers on crime are a little bit better.
It's not quick enough because I've been involved in homelessness, and there's a Supreme Court ruling that allows cities to clean up the streets.
Right.
We're not enforcing. So we've elected leaders that are not accountable because they've never signed the front of a check.
Correct.
There's no receipts for our money with 2 signatures on the check.
Correct.
There's no execution. There's no execution of the job that they're entailed to do. And we don't enforce the laws because they won't enforce them because they're too weak. They're not woke, they're weak.
And just a great comment. And just to show that these aren't platitudes, the city couldn't account for $3 billion that was supposed to be accounted for homeless, right? And that's why you had the big turnover with LASA, the organization that was supposed to run and fix the homelessness.
That's our money.
That is our money. And it wasn't accounted for, which is simply excusable.
Well, you know what? Let's blame every mayor before Mayor Bass then. Because if you fix broken and if you have good accounting principles in place, because I fix broken, and if you don't have receipts that have backup to it, that have 2 parties sign off, so there's balance, check and balance, you don't pay the bill. And they're just paying bills, or you just paying our money out. And those principles should have been in place, frankly, before Mayor Bass, before Mayor Garcetti, before Mayor Villaraigosa.
Right.
So guess what? They're all to blame. And you know who's really to blame?
Who?
All of us. Because we let it happen on our watch. So when are we going to have enough, Evan?
We let it happen on our watch, but also it's worth saying that those of you that don't vote or anybody not voting is just as, if not even more accountable, because you see the turnout numbers and they're honestly despicable / embarrassing. It is what it is. I wish it would improve. I wish we could get people more into politics. On my show, whenever I talk about politics, even from an apolitical perspective, people are like, oh, we don't want to hear about politics. No, but you do want to complain or have a comment or
you don't get, Evan,
so that your vote is your input.
You know what I tell folks when they want to complain? I said, First of all, do you have a job? Do you get up early and stay late?
Right.
Do you go to work with a runny nose? I do. I did. I still do.
Right.
And I said, did you vote? And they go, no. It's usually they do have a job somewhat, or they do have a real job, but they don't vote. But they want to complain. I said, you know what? You cannot complain.
Correct.
You have no right to complain because you didn't vote. And you know what? Your future's at risk now.
Right.
So you better get your ass up off the couch, get involved, and vote. Because if you don't, all of your futures are at risk. I've now done the due diligence. I never even thought about running for office.
Right.
I did it because I interviewed every candidate, Evan. And, I've studied hard now, 18 months, and there's solutions.
There are solutions.
But I look at the folks, both on the Democrat and the Republican side, and not one person has signed the front of a check. Not one person has managed people or created jobs. Not one person, other than, Mayor Villaraigosa for a hot minute, managing life safety of others. And they're all compromised. No one's coming to the table cleanly. No one's also fixed broken. And we are broken, and it's fixable. But we're going to really, really be in trouble. And I'm sounding the alarm.
Right.
Because I've done the homework, and I'm coming to the table just for everyone's knowledge. California's in deep shit. We've got structural issues with insurance, affordability, livability, workability, human resource law, too many regulations. And you know what? Everyone says you sound like the Trump of the Democrats. You sound like a Republican. But you know what? No, I'm a blue dog Democrat. I am what Democrats used to be, and I'm still the same. Okay? I'm still the same.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
We still want, in my world, I want sane and humane immigration and a pathway to citizenship. And we do things with love and compassion. But you know what? I'm going to be unapologetically authentic, Evan.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mix words because I'm going to ride or die. So all your futures are safe.
Right.
Because if I don't say these things and we don't get this voter turnout with the youth vote, the younger vote, 18 to 35,
right,
it's your future you're all gambling with right now. You know what? I'm going to be okay. You're not. 911, folks. 911.
Right.
When I grew up, it was Network. Remember the movie Network?
No.
Network was go out your window and say, I can't take it anymore, and bang your pots and pans.
Wow.
It's an old movie.
Okay.
And there's another movie, A Few Good Men.
Yes.
Jack Nicholson.
Right.
What's that famous line? You can't handle the truth.
Handle the truth. Yeah.
Well, this is that moment in time. You can't handle the truth. This is the truth, folks. I don't need to pontificate, and I love to hear your opinions on how would you fix
well, that's your job.
Homelessness. No, my job is to listen to everyone and do it together. See, I'm not dictatorial. Okay, I believe we all need to work together to solve what we want. What do we want? And then how do we achieve it where we get equal or greater value, Evan?
True. Safety, cleanliness. We want to put a meal on the table for our family. We want to be able to have our kids walk to the park on the corner without worrying about them.
Like I did when I grew up here.
Be able to walk your dog without carrying pepper spray.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah. So I think, and that's one thing I want to say is I think that what people didn't realize for a good decade plus now is that you can have a little bit of overlap in your Venn diagram of values or of politics, where before it was, if that person's a Republican, well, I don't even want to have lunch with them. I'm not going to have a conversation. Don't even put me on that text thread. People have told me and I'm like, wait, you guys want the same things. You're going about it a different way. Or Democrats they're stupid. They're ignorant. They're not all like that. And people want the same things. And what I see is that there are common sense, logical, in the middle solutions. But right now, what takes all the oxygen in the room are these polarizing opinions, the loud people, the 10% on both sides.
No, it's actually about 15 on both sides. 70% of us believe.
You've done the legwork. You've done the research.
I've done
True.
The survey of all of us in California, and 68 to 70% of us want the same thing. Well, that's a super majority, folks. Then we just don't have a voice. Let's have the voice and have the bravado. I mean, I've been called a Republican. I've been a Democrat my whole life. I mean, I don't care. I'm the Trump of the Democratic Party. Okay, so what? At least I've got morals, ethics, values, and I pay my contractors. And I serve. He wants to be served. So we're different. We both have a big personality. But I worry about your future and your kids because you don't have the aspiration I had when I grew up here.
Well, I'll tell you this. Look, I always remain optimistic. And I know that, with the narrative of things are broken, look, there's definitely some damage. And especially since COVID, certain things have been exacerbated. But the fact is that more people that I talk to are sort of coming to that middle that I realized before, where it's logic, it's common sense.
Good, right?
It's not okay to have an encampment on your residential street corner.
No.
It's not okay to have downtown Los Angeles smelling like urine when you get out of your car. It's not okay that I drive on Fairfax yesterday, coming home from the Grove, and from Fairfax at the original farmers market to a little bit beyond Melrose, it looks honestly like a third world country. And it pains me to say that because you got Cantor's in there, you got Diamond Bakery in there, you have some legend. The Hundreds was in there, street culture, everything was right there. Fairfax High School, Anthony Kiedis, Red Hot Chili Peppers, LA history on this one stretch. And you drive there and you're sad and despondent and despair. And how did it get like that? And that's not the only area in LA. So things got like that. And people are starting to realize that, maybe these pie in the sky, unrealistic utopian visions that I had under the cloud of COVID weren't working because it's led to this. So I think that in 2026, specifically germane to the elections, you're going to see a swing of the pendulum back towards common sense and logic.
We have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have to. But
and I'm speaking for LA.
And that's what people are starting to talk about.
Right.
But they got to get out and vote and
correct.
make it happen. Otherwise, it's going to get worse.
Right.
And that's my prediction, and I hope it doesn't. I wish Rick Caruso would be mayor right now. That would be awesome. I went to high school with him. He's a good guy.
He was on my podcast this week.
So he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And, look, if he's really an independent. Rick's not, he's a registered independent.
Yeah.
He's given to so many pro-life candidates in the past. He can never get past that. You
Proud Catholic.
Proud Catholic, great. I love it. Italian Catholic, great, super fantastic. And he'd be a good face for Los Angeles. And, but he'd have to deal with the 12 other socialists.
The city council's interesting makeup. And again, I think that is a reflection of during COVID, people were clouded in more ways than one. And that 2022 election really put us behind the eight ball on a number of things. In 2024, the reps that were elected.
How are we going to recover for FIFA, the Super Bowl, and the Olympics?
And what nobody talks about? The NBA All-Star Game. I just put that together too. So you actually got the NBA All-Star Game.
When's that?
World Cup, February next year.
Okay.
The U.S. Women's Tennis Open, said the World Cup, the Super Bowl, and the Olympics. And that's just sports. That's just, and it's not just sports. No city in world history has had 3 events of that caliber and back-to-back.
So how do you do that? We have an airport that looks like a war zone, which is the necktie of our embarkation and debarkation. That's where people come into and go out of. The first thing people see is our airport. Yeah. And there's no life safety really to speak of. There's no music. There's no beautiful walls. There's no art.
Restaurants are lacking.
Restaurants are terrible.
Eateries, yep.
You're Mr. Restaurant all over the place. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you don't have the collegiality, the curbside manner, welcome.
It's tough. The horseshoe. That comes historically from 2 things. And you're right. I actually did an entire podcast episode on, is LAX the worst airport in the United States, at least of a major city? And I kind of think it is. But that does come from the fact that it wasn't meant to be our first airport. It was Mines Field. It was just runway strips with alfalfa and sheep, while Glendale Central Air Terminal was the main and first airport of the United States. And then when they did design in the 50s, they thought that horseshoe design and the theme building was futuristic and architecturally appealing and beautiful. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it kind of pinned in the
So
airport
was Busch
to what
Gardens.
it
What
is
happened
today.
to that?
So what we need to do, is a complete overhaul. And that starts with mass transit. And I'm not exactly the biggest mass transit advocate. I'm an advocate in the sense that we need it, but I'm also realistic in the sense that in a city of this size, to implement what would really be efficient trains, buses, monorails, perhaps.
You ever been to Beijing or Shanghai?
Of course.
Okay, then why? Don't tell me it's not possible.
China's a different story, and I think we know that, first of all. And cities, but LA, and again, I'll always go back to this, was born out of car culture. What makes Los Angeles great is because we were the first city, not just to embrace the freeways, but to plan our city. And our city grew around the freeways and driving and the car. So now we're putting in the trains and the buses and all this kind of stuff on top of it. And yes, before somebody calls me out, we were also the mass transit capital of the world in the 1920s going into the 1930s. But those of you that have seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit, though not exactly true historically, it is a good indication of what happened because, again, we're the hub of the automobile industry, tire factory, the Citadel off the 5 used to be a tire factory, Goodyear, aerospace, everything revolved around the car, especially when freeways came in. So we undid all that work. And then now that we have the freeways and the cars and car culture ingrained, now we're trying to put trains on top of it. So it's tough. And that's what would really help LAX. They're doing that people mover thing. It's not complete. But to your point, why is it not happening? Because there is so much red tape, because there is so much bureaucracy, because there is so much legislative infighting that a good solution in this day and age is neither efficient nor possible with the current legislators and legislative red tape.
Because they don't have experience. I mean, you want to look at Las Vegas. They built the monorail, failed twice. They never connected it to the airport. What a joke.
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah.
Well, it's not weird because you had politicians doing it, not experienced business people. I mean, same thing. But we've got to take a really hard look at who we're putting in charge.
Right.
And, you know, they're doing a really good job. Mayor Lurie up in San Francisco now, marketing and cleaning up San Francisco. I've spent a lot of time up there. And I'm seeing the difference.
Do you want a true story? Listen
Yeah.
to this. I was in San Francisco back when I was in the private sector. I was in advertising before, but I was up there for a trade show. It's about 2009, 2010. And it's a true story. We were in front of what was called the Cliff Hotel.
Yep.
Cliff Hotel?
Cliff.
Yeah.
The Cliff. 4 seasons.
And no joke, that was San Francisco in its nadir, let's say. We were literally stepping over homeless people to get to the next place. And my buddy who was in town from Florida, Jeff, shout out Jeff Roach, he says, Ev, you better be careful. He says, LA is going to be like this in 10 years. And I said, no, that can't happen. LA is not going to be crime here, homeless there. You don't want to walk. San Francisco is such a beautiful, amazing, walkable, incredible city. And at that time, it was, well, hail a cab. This is before Uber. You get a cab because you couldn't even walk around San Francisco because if it wasn't the homeless, it was a crime. And he says, LA is going to be, and I was like, get out of here. And lo and behold, LA ended up going that direction. But San Francisco was the first to course correct. And like you see, and the narrative becomes, now I'm hearing, San Francisco.
Well, you got a business leader that was elected mayor.
Correct.
You got a business leader elected mayor.
Correct.
And he's getting shit done.
Right.
And he's embracing it and rolling up his sleeves and doing the work. He's loving it. Bravo to Mayor Lurie.
Right.
No, he is. He's enjoying it. He's doing a good job. And you can change it really quick because I've fixed broken.
Right.
And you can do it as long as you're all in. You got to lean all into it. Takeaway, what's the best burger in California?
Me? Yeah. That was a quick pivot. I wasn't ready for that. What's the best? Listen, In-N-Out.
You do this for a living, but maybe you're going to see somebody else can do it too.
In-N-Out's the easy answer, to tell you the truth, and it's a great, satisfying answer. I love Apple Pan because of its history. 1947, West Side Classic. I went to UCLA. Father's Office ushered in the new era of hamburgers. Shout out to Chef Sun Young. And look, if for my money, I don't know if this is the best burger, but my favorite burger, if it's a special occasion, I don't eat burgers a lot, I'm going to go to Tommy's and get a double chili cheeseburger with chili cheese fries. That's my favorite burger in California. Also a great story.
Rated.
Yeah.
Rampart.
Yeah, absolutely. Beverly and Rampart. Tommy Kulak's 1946 just started with 8 stools in a tiny little shack.
Tamale's damn good too.
Who?
The tamale there.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I just had that for the first time about a couple years ago. Well, a couple years ago, but I say the first time because I grew up. Why would I pass up a double chili cheeseburger? I was like, it's one or the other, but I didn't realize.
Tamale.
They're incredible. Incredible.
Tamale's amazing.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Just checking it out. What is the most amazing fact about Los Angeles that people don't know?
Oh, no. There's so many good ones. Can I listen? I've done 1,800 different episodes in 3.5 years. LA in a minute.
I'm gonna ask
history, culture.
Okay. What? Is it Chandler, Lancashire, Chatsworth? Who of these great Angelinos?
Yeah. I've called Harrison Gray Otis probably the most impactful. He ran the LA Times, and now the LA Times, again, speaking of a shell of its former self, but the LA Times at one point not only was the most powerful voice on the West Coast, but for generations could drive policy. The LA Times is the reason why we have the LA Aqueduct, because Harrison Gray Otis used his bully pulpit to make things happen. And in the development of Los Angeles from 1880, when he took over the paper, and LA had 20,000 people till the time he passed away around 1920, and it was over 1 million. He spearheaded a lot of that growth. So all these names, Chandler took the baton from him. And Chandler is extremely impactful because he's behind all these, Hollywood Bowl, I want to say the Rose Bowl, but a lot of the great landmarks of Los Angeles as well. You could say Mulholland because he's a reason water came in, but he has a complicated legacy. But I want to go back to the fact thing because there's 2 that I enjoy. One, the Burbank Airport, the entire Burbank Airport,
which is getting a big redo right now.
Which is getting a big overhaul. It was camouflaged during World War II. And what I mean by that is think of the size of it. It's not a, quote, major airport, but it is a major airport. And more importantly, it housed Lockheed, which was absolutely integral in the World War II, in the war effort. So it became a strategic target.
I don't know. Do people know that we had McDonnell Douglas, Lockheed, Boeing, Raytheon, Rocketdyne.
Good job. Aerospace capital of the world, El Segundo.
Yep.
But a lot of that was in Burbank because the training was out there, the Curtis Technical Institute. So it became a perceived target from, Axis planes and spies. So they had to camouflage the airport. What happens to be right down the street from Burbank were the Disney studios. So you had these great artists and thinkers and creative animators that were able to work with the logical military and engineering minds at Burbank Airport. So they were able to cover the entire airport with canvas and tarp, and not just, what does that do? But they actually built like cardboard and paper mache, cars, homes, people underneath this canvas and tarp 50 feet in the air were moving around in normal daily activities to make it look as if any spy plane was above. Oh, this is just more rolling hills in the San Fernando Valley, which wasn't fully developed at the time. And to see these pictures where you're like, this is the Burbank Airport, 1940. This is the Burbank Airport when it's camouflaged. You're like, holy shit. It looks like the northern San Fernando Valley, just bucolic rolling hills everywhere you could see. And one I want to throw at you because it kind of ties today and yesterday together. Have you ever heard of Richard Katz, former assemblyman?
Yeah.
Okay. 1989, Richard Katz had the idea to turn the LA River into a freeway. And this made it all the way up to the California State Assembly. But it was greenlit all the way up because what he was going to do was keep the river, but make lanes on either side from the West San Fernando Valley out to Long Beach for high occupancy vehicles, whether that was buses or just carpool lanes. And the LA River was going to, because traffic has been the story of Los Angeles since the freeways were built. When the 405 opened, by the way, 405 freeway opened, within 12 minutes, the first SIG alert happened. That's how fast traffic happens in Los Angeles.
But look,
true story. But hold on. So he was going to make the LA River a freeway. And can you imagine now? I mean, with what we have, the movement to naturalize the LA River, and it has, in certain areas, that's a whole project that's gone wayward because you go one strip and it's beautiful. One strip.
Well, no, how about Caltrans? We pay gas tax to Caltrans to take care of our roads. Why is Southern California filthy and Northern California clean? The freeways are absolutely spotless in Northern California. Spotless, pristine, gorgeous.
It's true. It's true. But I got a question. Here's what I thought you were going to say about Caltrans. Why is it going to take 4 years to repave 2 lanes on the 405? That's what I wonder. Anybody who's driving on the 405 right now,
you want to
not
hear?
not every weekend, but many weekends over the next 4 years, and you've seen it over some recent weekends, is it's down to 3 lanes. And this is the highest trafficked freeway in the United States, which understood needs improvements. But why is it going to take 4 years? That's what they're not renovating the whole freeway. Sorry, go on.
Because you have leaders in Sacramento that have never built anything. And the longer the unions can drag it out,
right,
the more they all get paid, and it's our money.
Ooh.
I call bullshit on all of them. Come on, it's just bullshit. Why don't we work 3 shifts and get it done?
Oh, I mean,
they say they want 3 shifts, but they don't want 3 shifts because they want to lengthen, the
it's
amount
part of the
time.
Regulations, right? Is where that comes in.
There's so many. We're regulated to death. Regulations are good to keep bad actors out. Too many regulations impede good business from doing good business.
Interesting.
It's really simple.
Fine line.
No, and I was a regulator.
There you go.
I was a regulator. I was a judge. I come with experience. I fix broken business. There are solutions here. We need good business leaders to get involved and solve some of these problems. But most business leaders wouldn't do this because you put yourself way out there, and it's unforgiving. But you just have to be able to disrupt and not get sucked into the vortex of pandering. And it's not a likability contest. It's about a results contest. How do we get equal or greater value for our tax dollars? It's very, very interesting.
I got a question for you. If I
You
may.
have a question for me? It's my show.
If I may, though, just because we're on the top.
No, because you're so used to interviewing all the time. You just cannot stop doing it.
Can I ask a question? Just one question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
SB 79 and affordable housing.
Fucked.
Okay, so
Stupidest law I've ever seen by Wiener.
and it's being implemented.
No, it's ridiculous.
It's
I read the entire tip to tail draft law. It's got so many flaws in it.
And
it
we
is
need
not going to
affordable
solve.
housing.
It does not solve affordability, livability, and workability. It's so misguided. Okay?
Can I just give an example that I saw recently this week?
Yeah, you want
I've
6 to 7 stories in the Palisades? Go ask Steadfast LA what they're doing about that one.
I've already been I've been pulling my hair
Did you
out.
ask Rick about that one?
But I saw the.
No, what did you ask Rick about?
We did talk about Steadfast.
What did he say about what did he give you? Did he give you a specific answer? He knows the right answer, or did he give you a politically correct answer?
He was pretty good. I gotta say, he was pretty transparent. And
He said it's bullshit?
not Steadfast LA. That's his organization.
No. Did Steadfast LA and Rick Caruso say that SB 79 is bullshit?
He didn't use that term, but there's a much more efficient ways around. And here's the thing. Again, this comes back to common sense and logic, right?
Right.
Is we need affordable housing. That's not the
100%.
issue. But let's do it sensibly. Let's do it logically. The story from this week that I saw in Koreatown.
Yep.
They're taking away parking spaces from longtime residents in apartment buildings and turning that parking area into ADUs. Who does that benefit? Because the new people that are going to move in as well, they're also not going to have parking. And sorry, we can try to culture shift and have everybody take mass transit, which again, long-term utopian, great idea. But is that realistic?
Where is the
This is Los Angeles.
No.
And how do you take away parking from people who already have it, who commute to their jobs?
That's called an eminent domain or a taking. Yeah. Okay, you can't do that.
No. So again, these are the implementations of it. I'm seeing affordable housing going up in wealthy, single-family residential neighborhoods, and people are like, oh, well, the wealthy, blah, blah. No, because the reason you move into that neighborhood is for that sense of community and for what you feel when you're looking at these homes and you buy that house. And now all of a sudden, not that it's innately a negative thing, but it changes the character and the integrity of the reason that you went there in the first place. And you need to, there are ways to do this without disrupting the way of life that people have built and developed for themselves and their families.
It's not a solution for affordable housing, period. It just, let's go build 6, 7 stories, like what, 6 stories around any mass transit hub.
There you go.
And that's what it says.
Correct.
And no.
Well, what they're qualifying as a mass transit hub is, I think, one of the big, there's so many different caveats.
That's the key word. So if you put a bus terminal along Sunset Boulevard, in the Brentwood or the Palisades, where you can now take out some homes and build 6, 7 stories. I mean, come on. You're not going to do that.
No.
You're not going to do that. That's like, no, it makes no sense. That's myopic, and people that are drafting legislation that have never built anything in their life, have no idea of urban planning, have no idea what it's like to sign the front of a check, and no idea what it's like to deliver equal or greater value to customers. Value. And, look, Dream Team, Rick, mayor of LA, me, governor, and Lurie, mayor of San Francisco, will get shit done. You have 3 business leaders getting shit done.
I want to see the throwback to the Magic Bird and Jordan ads of '92. Then I want to see.
We'll take back California. We'll take back California.
That's great.
That's the Dream Team, because
It's a good team.
You have
It's a
people
good team.
that really know what they're doing. They've actually aspired within the state, and they want to pay it back. They want to pay it forward to everybody, and everyone do well. We all agree to that. So let me ask you another question.
Yeah, for sure.
I ask a lot of folks this. You're younger, so in your life, yes, you are. You're a kid.
Appreciate that.
You're a kid.
It's my birthday this coming week too, so another. But go on, continue.
33.
You want to know, honestly?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell people.
47. I'm gonna be 47. And by the way, it's also the city of Los Angeles' birthday, September 4th, 1781. That's when the pobladores settled around the river.
The modern historian.
Yep, 1781. 44 pobladores from 12 families. Listen to this. This is what I think is an incredible stat about LA. You have 44 pobladores. They were called the original settlers. There was mestizo, indigenous, Mexican, African, Filipino. Amongst that group of 44 that founded the Pueblo of Los Angeles in 1781. So when we say LA is rich and in culture and diverse, that started from literal day one. So I think that's an outstanding stat. So September 4th, remember that.
People need to appreciate that.
Yeah, right. And that's reflective of LA today. So anyway, sorry, I took you off track again. I get excited about that.
You didn't take me off track. I went back right on track.
Okay, go on.
I spin 20 plates at one time, pal.
There we go.
You go fix broken. You got to make sure those plates don't break.
Yeah.
In your life, is there one person who's not alive that you'd like to spend time with, or in the history that you've read of Los Angeles or of the United States as a historian, or of world culture, because you're a worldly guy?
Man, I'm going to tell you.
Who is the one person you'd like to hang out with for a day that's not alive?
I'm not going to give you a person, because I'm going to give you an era, and I think about this all the time.
I'm not going to let you do that. That's a cop-out.
Ain't no way.
No, you can do an
it's
era.
Such a good story, dude.
Tell your story, then you're going to get to the point.
1850s through 1870s Los Angeles. This was the Wild West. I always heard the Wild West growing up.
Yeah.
And you think Arizona and Tombstone and like,
Yeah.
the cowboy towns. LA was a cowboy town. After the Mexican-American War, when it was part America, part California, part indigenous, and everybody's fighting, and a free state. So the first African-Americans, the first Black Americans were coming in. It was everything. And it was wild because it wasn't governed. San Francisco was the main city in this new state of California, and LA wasn't attached to anything. There was no transcontinental railroad. There was no communication. So there was a street, Calle de los Negros, that was full with saloons and shootouts and murders. And there was a murder a day. There was LA, Los Angeles, was the murder capital of the world in the 1850s and 1860s. And there was no police department to speak of. So it was vigilante justice, and people were enforcing laws on their own. And honestly, lynchings and things like this. And then
Sounds like downtown LA.
you had these, minus the, but you had people
Minus the
like,
homeless.
like Tiburcio Vasquez, the Robin Hood of his day, who was he'd rob from the rich and give to the poor, and he'd hide out in these rocks up north in northern LA County, which became known as Vasquez Rocks. But that era where I'm just like, wow, we think of Los Angeles, and even historically, you could go indigenous to when it was founded by the Spanish, and then the Mexican took over, and it was ranchos and agriculture, to this era where LA was the Wild West. Because you look now, and it's always the city of tomorrow, and it's the city of the future, but there are no remnants of this around. And I'm always so fascinated in how Los Angeles became Los Angeles when, when you read the book, there's this book, Eternity Street by John McFarriger, that you're just like, wow, this was Tombstone. Like when you see the movie Tombstone, you're like, wait, that's like Los Angeles was like that. So that always blows my mind. So I'd like to be a fly on the wall in that era to answer your question, to not answer your question, actually.
So is Los Angeles still Tomorrowland?
I think about this a lot. And you know what? I'll be honest, this is something I've never said out loud. Part of a trope that I repeat since I started LA in a minute is LA is the land of the future and the land of tomorrow. And I've questioned that more this year than ever.
Well, then elect some better fucking leaders, would you please?
It's a tough because
it should be.
We were the land of transition and we went era to era. This was the oil
When did we
capital
lose
of the world.
it?
Truthfully,
Yeah.
within the last probably the last decade.
Yep.
Decade plus.
And you know what we did in
Go.
that last decade too? We added 45,000 new jobs to Sacramento in the state. That's $6 billion a year.
Mm.
And what kind of value did we get for that? Negative value. Negative value. We were just talking about that. Yeah.
Painful to admit. And look, anybody who does watch my show knows that I am an unbridled optimist, but I can
Me
be
too.
realistic and be objective, and it's tough. This year specifically was a wake-up call. And again, whether it was the fires, the crime, the continued homeless, I mean, a lot of Hollywood's continued downfall, all these legacy restaurants, the Pantry over a century, Saugus Cafe, 1887, the oldest restaurant in the county, is on the verge of shutting down. Kohl's, the oldest restaurant in LA City. Dupar's was in trouble. I mean, and again, just that's not even counting the local neighborhood mom and pop spots that are shutting down because it's a hard place to do business.
I was bummed out when Mike's Pizza in Encino went down.
That's a good. I used to go to Mike's as a kid. There
Garlic
you go.
knots, man.
My parents would take me. Absolutely.
How about Flukies and Sherman
You
Oaks batting cages?
Love Flukies, and I have to do a story on it. My Flukies was on Woodley and what is that? Over by Kennedy High School.
Yeah,
that was my Flukies. But
I used to ride my bike to the market.
yeah.
Can't do that anymore. Would you allow your kids to ride your bike to the
I
market?
talked about this week. This
Would
is
you?
the absolute
No.
truth. We have friends out of state, Georgia, North Carolina, that are like, oh yeah, the kids, they went to the store. They went to the Piggly Wiggly. What is it called? Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah, Piggly Wiggly,
Yeah,
yeah.
Piggly Wiggly pickups is 7 years old and 5 years old. I have an 11-year-old son, coincidentally, and he just picked up skateboarding and he's freaking great right off the bat, by the way. But that's not the point. The point is he wanted to go to Vaughn's by himself.
Yeah.
Okay, 8 blocks away, 8 blocks in one major street, but pretty close. And I was like, he's 11. You know, my wife and I are having this conversation where I'm like, yeah, we should let him go. And then, but we were both kind of like, and then, so we did, but you better believe it was some like in the household. And he's good. He's self-sufficient. He's independent.
There's no way to live.
But it shouldn't be a thought
No
to
way
do
to-
that.
no.
And
No
when
way
his
to live.
friends come over and they play, we're a lot more comfortable when they're like staying in the front yard or the backyard than like going to the park. And it's like, really? I used to ride my bike to the park. We'd go play baseball. We'd go play basketball. We'd go just run around and do whatever. You know, the proverbial home when it gets dark. And like, that was it with no cell phones. Now he at least has an Apple Watch. So I feel like I'm tracking him if something happens. And that's like peace of mind, which is also no way to live. That like, at least he's got a tracker on his human body. My parents were like, yeah, go, just be home for dinner.
And you were, and we were.
It worked.
Always.
Absolutely.
So this we've got to fix it. We've got to fix it. So you're going to get back to this question. Who?
Oh no. Okay. Go
Who that's not alive in the world of history or politics policy or in the United States politics policy or in California history or in Los Angeles history that is
crazy
no
question.
longer alive, would you choose, if you had one choice, to spend a day with in your life?
I'll tell you what, this is going to be an answer that's maybe not as grand as some people would like, but the truth is anybody who knows his work will understand. There was a food writer named Jonathan Gold, who was the only food writer to win a Pulitzer Prize because he didn't just do food reviews. How he actually changed the way that Americans look at food and restaurants is because he would implement the culture and the legacy and the family history that went into these restaurants while giving these astute, informed reviews. And when you read his reviews and his writing and his dissertations on these restaurants, it's about the community. And what he did was he was the first food critic anywhere that didn't just go to these Michelin star restaurants, didn't just go to the fancy places. He was the first to really go to the hole in the wall, the immigrant run mom and pops. And that's what enabled a lot of people to see and feel and realize these Los Angeles communities that you never go to, because too many of us are isolated or insulated in our own neighborhoods. But like my wife always says, be a tourist in your town, get out, go to Boyle Heights, go to San Pedro, go to Sylmar, because every one of those neighborhoods has awesome restaurants and every restaurant has a great story. And it's the stories of the people and the stories of the community that really move me. So spending a day eating and enjoying and hearing the thoughts of Jonathan Gold would be my way to spend a day with a
What's the best
person who's
Greek
no longer alive.
Best Greek restaurant? It's in San Pedro, Long Beach, right?
Greek. Papa Christos was my jam. Another one that closed this year, by the way.
That was the place where you threw plates, broke plates?
Yeah, yes. And then San Pedro, I don't know the Greek restaurant. I know Busy Bee Sandwiches down there, which is fantastic. But off the top of my head, I don't know. And A1 is a good place, but I don't know the Greek place offhand, to be honest with you. But I know Sunken City is in San Pedro. You know about Sunken City?
No, tell us about it.
Sunken City was a community in 1929. A developer, I forgot his name, wanted to develop a beach town. It was not beach, bluff side town. It was on the bluff overlooking the Pacific Ocean. It has beautiful bungalows. Wasn't super high class, but it was upscale. And there were bungalows, and they train. It was the era of mass transit in Los Angeles. A little red car was running through there. The trolleys, street lights, the whole deal. 1929, they start having a slow landslide, much like in what is it, Rancho Palos Verdes, right?
Palos Verdes right now, where all of Palos Verdes is falling into the ocean.
Yeah, what's that bend called where it's at? But anyway.
It's falling into the ocean.
They started having a small landslide.
They should only take the Trump golf course and have it fall into the ocean.
And so the community started slowly falling into the ocean.
You could call it Trump tides.
And then all of a sudden, William Mulholland, who was the city's engineer, still riding high in 1929, came to inspect it. And he was like, yo, basically red tagged it. They didn't have red tagging. Everybody out, so they had to abandon the community. Lo and behold, much of it did slide and fall into the ocean because it was a quicker and quicker moving landslide. But to this day, the ruins of that community are still there at Point Fermin in San Pedro. So you could go, you're not supposed to go, but it's pretty accessible. I didn't send you, but if you're curious, you can check it out. But there are actual ruins of a town, Bluffside in San Pedro, which is really cool because, like, where do you see ruins?
That's cool because nobody knows that.
Yeah, exactly. So San Pedro, so check it out. Great place, by the way. It's such an underrated community. The port, Vincent Thomas Bridge, Korean Friendship Bell, so much good stuff in San Pedro. Great architecture, great restaurants, great people.
We used to have really good places in Marina Del Rey. Where'd they all go?
Marina Del Rey's always been one of those communities that
we used to have good restaurants there.
That tries to, in my opinion, sort of keep up with the Joneses, but like it's still like falls behind a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's demographic, like some boats. I mean, it's a great place, but it's tough because they really are insulated and you're sort of.
What's your prediction on the Palisades? Will it become the Palisades again?
Think about that a lot too, especially with Altadena. Same.
I've been out there a lot.
I don't know that it can. I don't think it's realistic to believe that you can rebuild the same architecture, the same homes, the same communities. The devastation was just too vast. And what you had so much history. I mean, Palisades specific, both two different things. Palisades had this history of Holocaust survivors and people escaping the Holocaust. It was one of the first true Jewish intellectual communities in Los Angeles. So what comes out of that, and the artist gatherings, whether it was these great classical artists or philosophers or writers, really had sort of like a de facto think tank in Palisades. And they developed the homes and the history and the buildings that came in there. And Altadena was one of the first communities in Los Angeles where African Americans were allowed to buy property and buy homes.
Right, because Pasadena was redlined.
Redlined. Thank you very much. Was redlined. And these are like first generational wealth African Americans in Los Angeles that developed communities and culture and restaurants. And again, with these homes, if you ever drove through Altadena, we almost lived in Altadena in 2019. True story. We almost bought a home out there. It's too far for me. I like being in the middle of stuff. It's a little bit too quiet, but it is beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And the homes are amazing. The properties are amazing. One of the streets in Altadena, I forget what it's called, was actually used as the intro shot for Beverly Hills 90210, which I was like mind blown when I thought. But the point is Altadena stood in for Beverly Hills, and like, yeah, that's destroyed. How do you rebuild that? I don't think either of them could come back as is. And that's pretty devastating, frankly.
Sad.
Can they?
With new leadership, it can. You need some business leadership to really get involved. Look, we're seeing what's happening now with our failed leadership. Look at the quote, to do the LA Fire concert tour. What did we raise, $100 million?
Oh.
Where'd that money go?
Ooh, where did that money go?
Ask Irving Azoff. He set it up. Irving and Shelley Azoff. Didn't they set that up?
Oof.
They were the big cheeses on that.
That's a
Owners of the
hornet's
Apple
nest.
Pen, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ooh,
Well.
that's a hornet's nest. Absolutely.
So, but who's going to ask those tough questions? Where's the money go? Do you know I have not found one person in the Palisades that's gotten $1, nor in Altadena from the Fire Aid concert?
True story. I heard that, both of those things. Absolutely.
And I do know that the money has gone from the Fire Aid concert to charities upon charities upon charities upon charities. That means all this G&A of their operations have just sucked up the money.
More transparency.
And do you think the people that went to that Fire Aid concert got value with their hard-earned dollars? No, they got ripped off.
They didn't get what they were.
So who's going to pay the price on that one?
Us. Well,
Yeah, all of us together. And it just goes to the point of, how do we let this happen? We gloss over these things. We just let it happen, let it roll off our shoulders. Nah, no big deal. Yes, it is a big deal.
it is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. We want the Palisades to be the Palisades. We want Altadena to be Altadena.
Yeah.
We want to help these folks get rebuilt and get them help.
Yeah.
They shouldn't, you have these charities set up to help them with any and all facets of their life. That's what these charities are set up to do.
Yeah.
You know? And you can't just set it up for the bougie moment of the TV clip when it happened.
Right.
That's a lifelong project almost till the last home is rebuilt, the last school is rebuilt, the last business is rebuilt in both those two communities. And if you're taking charge of either one of those two areas, then you better see it through.
Yeah. You need accountability, and accountability comes with transparency.
You have to have transparency, accountability, you have to have execution and enforcement.
Yeah.
This is what we're lacking. So I hope we can be Tomorrowland again.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
LA is the city, is a very resilient city. I will say that. I mean, look, this is
We have the ability to recover all the time because you were, I don't know if were you here at the Northridge quake?
I was in North. I'm
Oh,
born
you
and
were
raised
right
in North Hills, technically, which is Sepulveda at the time, which is the adjacent.
North Hills is
neighborhood.
a new term.
Yes, it is.
It did not exist
It
in
was
the
Sepulveda.
70s
It
and
was
80s.
Sepulveda, and before that it was Mission Acres. But yes, I grew up. So the epicenter was on Lassen and Balboa, right across the street from an In-N-Out, an OG In-N-Out, by the way. And we lived at Woodley and Nordhoff, which was 2 miles away. So our house was red tagged. Our chimney fell on our neighbor's house. Dresser fell on my mom's side of the bed, but somehow my mom escaped it. We were devastated by the earthquake. But what about it?
We recover.
Absolutely.
How many freeways have we lost in earthquakes?
Yeesh.
I mean, come on.
We
recover. We recover quick. And if we really put our minds to it, I am going to give one kudos to the state and the city when we had the problem on I-10 with the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it was going to take months and months to do, and all of a sudden they got that done in 10 days. Holy shit.
Kudos to those engineers.
So guess what?
Yeah.
It can be done.
True.
It actually can be done.
When there's enough pressure and you turn and you
Well,
twist.
there
and
you
twist
go.
on
So
it.
guess what? I guess that fire really was up all their asses.
True.
So, but they got it done.
They totally got
So you
it done.
don't tell me you can't get it done. I know you can get it done.
Right.
So have we had enough? Have we had enough? And I really worry for all of you, for all of your futures. I'm ringing that 911 bell, folks. The time is here. The time is now.
Right.
And if you want to elect the same old, you're going to get the same level of insanity going forward, and you won't survive. And today's been great, Evan. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I wish you success. You are the LA historian. One last question.
Sure.
Did you come out of your mom's womb saying, "What's up"?
What is up? I'll tell you something funny before I go. There's a true story that's never been told. When I was born, I actually had to be flown to Children's Hospital via helicopter before my mom could even hold me in her arms. So I don't know what that has to do with anything about my verbosity or my.
Well, no, that's your shtick now. That's where "What's up" came from, because you were like, your mom was going like, "What's up?" And you said, "What's up?
Like,
What's up?"
Yeah,
that's you.
But
that's good. We appreciate everything you do, and keep doing a great job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate what you're doing. You do a great job. Great message. And look, this is the truth. I'm optimistic. We're in a tough time right now, and we do need good, strong leadership with a clear vision. And, you know, most people that I talk to from both sides are not exactly happy with how things are going right now. So that means change, and that means get out and vote and have an impact in your community. And Mr. Cloobeck right here is a very, very strong candidate. So take his words seriously. Take them to heart.
I'm here for all of us. I got no trophy in this game. No, this is tough. It's the toughest thing I've ever done. And I'm just calling it like I see it, unapologetically authentic. And I'm just here for everybody. And I hope we are all successful, because it's too great of a state to let it go where it's going. There's no better place than the United States.
Correct.
There's no greater state. We are a country. We got to act like one, and we got to do it together. So let's rock together.
California, California, get a clue. Stephen Cloobeck is the guy for you.